2, 1, shoot! So the past 2 years, oh my god. Oh my god. So yesterday I made a YouTube video where I was like, how to paint 3 paintings in a day, but I didn't really show you the steps of how I do that. So today I thought I would take you through some specific steps on how to make a painting in one day. So I'm just going to take you through the steps of what I do to make a painting every day. I hope that makes sense. Before we start painting, we need to set up the vibes. We need to make sure everything's clean, organized, and we have some good music on. If you work in a home studio like I do everything at this desk, so I need to make sure everything is organized and everything is wiped off. When you're working in home and you have like pets in your house, there's going to be dust and cat hair, well I have a pet hair, accumulating every day. So you have to make sure your stuff is wiped down, because if you get all that in your painting, dust and pet hair, it's ruined. It's not the vibe. So we gotta create the vibes by disinfecting and cleaning. Also, I'm a little under the weather, so if my voice sounds really gnarly, it's because I'm not feeling too hot right now. Next step in setting up the proper vibes is having good music. When I'm painting, I like to listen to either like some lo-fi, like I'm putting up here, or a podcast. Just something nice, like good background noise. It's very soothing and comforting. After you cleaned everything up and you put on your music, light your candle, we need to set up the workspace. We need to make sure everything is in its proper place for when we start painting, because once we start going, the last thing we want to do is having to get up and retrieve something we didn't put it within arm's reach. This is just a little oil painting checklist that I like. Make sure my palette, paint thinner, paper towels, gloves, lighting, my liquid, brushes, my iPad and phone I used it for reference to have my reference on those things. Oh, and I think I had a beverage on there too. Always have a water handy because you're going to be painting for hours. And I just included here my little, my go-to palette for these small paintings. I have a different palette for when I'm doing large scale pieces. And if you have like a question about why I use different palettes for different sizes, let me know. Next step is finding my reference. Here's the video I took, and this is the reference that I'm going to be using for today's painting. This is my little backyard with my cat Kimchi, and we're making sure we set it up. I sent it to my iPad. Hey Siri, set a timer for 15 minutes. Finally, we're starting the painting. When I sketch my reference on, it depends on the image if I like to go in with pencil first and a straight edge, or if I like to go straight in with paint and sketch it out with paint. Since this reference has a lot of straight edges and angles, I'm going to go in with a pencil and I'm going to make sure I sketch out some straight, sharp lines so that when I'm painting, I can just follow these guidelines. It's especially good to sketch out everything in detail when you're on a time crunch too. I'm having to paint and complete this in one day, so being as detailed in my initial sketch is crucial. So while I'm painting, I can follow all the guidelines. Whereas if I didn't sketch anything out and I went straight in with paint, there's a lot more room for error and question. It's just much easier and more efficient this way. Next step is the first layer, which is going to be our thinnest layer. In this portion, instead of mapping out all the components in the image, we're mapping out the colors and we're mapping out all the values. So here I'm filling in the porch with this really thin red color so that when I go in with thicker paint, I know where to place it. I'm going to do the same thing with the green in the background past the porch in the background. I'm going to use kind of like a watercolor technique and make sure that when I'm going back in and painting some details in the leaves in the very far back, I'm leaving some of that first layer through so it shines as like the highlight. Next up, we're finally getting some dark paint, and we're going to fill in all the dark spots. So under the porch here is where all the darkest points are, so I'm going to start there. And I mixed my own black with phthalo, turquoise, and magenta for this painting. It looks a lot better than black out of the tube. Black out of the tube is just kind of void of anything fun. I don't know how to like phrase that, but mixing it with two colors like magenta and turquoise, or sometimes I'll use phthalo blue and cadmium red, it just gives it like a much more richer tone. Like you can kind of see some purples popping out here. I just think it looks better. All artists are different. Do what you want. If you want to use black out of the tube, good for you. That's all you, babe. Now as the paint's getting thicker, I want to work on Lily, Gigi's girlfriend, and pile in the shadows here. And painting white fur has always been a little intimidating to me. But I just can't grasp the color spectrums that are going on within the white fur because it's not pure white. You see like a lot of yellows and blues. So for the shadows, per art rules, I'm making them cooler. So I'm layering all that in and trying to get the most realistic fur that I can get. And here, since I have this blue that I used on Lily, I'm going to see where it can fit in other parts of the painting. So like here, I'm loading it into Gigi's eyes, and then I go over to my cat and I fill in the shadows and like the different parts of his fur with that same color. And really I just go back and forth between doing this and loading it in the spots it needs. So like I'm painting the greens here, trying to find where else in the painting that green can go, and then I start another section. So here I'm painting the leaves in the background, and then I'm going to go in and paint the porch. I'm not going to lie, when I was starting this porch, I was a little worried because when I look at my reference photo, all I really see is like red and gray blobs with some light ray shining through, and I was worried how I was going to mimic it. But I just relied on placing the dark values where I saw them and placing the light values where I saw them. And in the end, I came out with a very believable porch. So I was worried for nothing. But as long as you're placing the values where they go, I think in any painting, you're going to come out with a believable image. Once you've more or less finished filling out the entire surface, it's time to paint in the details. So this usually includes the whitest whites and fixing tiny little errors in proportions, things like that. So here there's a lot of light shining through the trees, and I'm painting all the little light spots coming in, which I was terrified to do because I like the watercolor method that I was talking about earlier, where I'm letting that first layer show through, so you can see that in the background. But since there's so many random spots of light, I couldn't do that. I have to paint thick white paint on to make it look like the light shining through. I hope that makes sense. I know I'm not really good at articulating my thoughts, but I hope that what I'm saying paired with the video, everything will make sense. Another little pro tip is if your brushes are getting splayed, don't throw them out. Just cut off all the splayed brushes, and it gives you like this unique shape for details or what have you that you can't buy in stores. So that's what I did to this one.
Whoa, bring it downtown. Bring it downtown. Okay, I'm done. I'm so happy. I don't know if it's because I'm filming myself, but in the middle of painting, I felt a lot of pressure and I was not liking how the painting was looking. And then by the end, I was letting go and being way more loose with my paint strokes. And I actually really love how it turned out. I think that's the key to painting something like this in one go and have it done in a day, is you have to be pretty loose with your paint strokes and rely on placing values in the right spots and be very mindful of proportions. So I think it's great. I'll do a different. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, another thing that I was doing as I was painting is like I take it off the easel and I hold it at different angles, and if it looks believable, pretty happy. You can see, like, I'll do close-ups. I like how you can still see some pencil lines, and I love how Gigi's a clearly animated cat. If I were to paint like a realistic black cat, it wouldn't give off the same vibe. So, hold on, actually. I think what I'm missing here is like there's all these light things happening. I think Gigi needs like little maybe that looks real, I don't know. Okay, I just kind of highlighted this left side of him and added like some of the light shining from the trees. So this is actually my backyard. I don't know if I said that. This is my backyard. This is actually my cat just like hanging out chilling, as you saw in the reference photo. And then I added Gigi, his girlfriend Lily, I think is her name, a white rag doll. And yeah, I took some creative liberties in the background here. Like in the reference photo, you see like some porch furniture. I did not want to paint that. So I just added like some planters, different pots back there with more greenery. In the background, I let some of the original paint shine through, like the first layer shine through. It makes it look brighter. It's like a watercolor technique. In watercolor, if you want something to be brighter, you don't paint on top of like the white paper, or you try to not put as many layers of paint on, because in watercolor you can't layer white over watercolor paint. Verbalizing my thoughts is a struggle sometimes. Alright, thanks for watching.